Hello, Omar. Thank you for joining us today to share your experience about teaching English in China. It's nice to meet you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how old you are, and where you're from originally, and where you're currently teaching?
Hello, David. I'm 22. I'm from England, the West Midlands, and I'm currently teaching in Tianjin.
Great. Well, how did you decide to come to China and teach English in the first place? How did you make such a decision?
I wanted to travel to experience another part of the world,
Hmm.
and China was my decision of choice.
And
So,
why exactly China then? Well, as probably you know, there are plenty of places to teach English actually in the world, like Vietnam or any other country. Why exactly China? What made you come
it
here?
was a different culture, a different way of life. I thought this would be the best option for me.
Hmm. Well, as for looking for a job, was work and live in China the only company you applied for, or?
Yeah. It was the only job I applied for.
Mhm.
I was fortunate to get it.
What was the process for you? How from the very application and until you came to China?
I applied online. Then I had a Skype interview with, is it John? I had a Skype
Mm-hmm.
interview with
Yep.
John, and well, it took several months for it to get into place, and then it took several months to get into place, and then now I'm here.
Hmm. And what happened after your arrival? Like, can you tell us about your first days in China? Where were you? And
Uh, well, my first impression of China, I thought it was going to be run down, to be honest. But when I came here, I would say it was a lot. It's a lot more advanced than the UK.
mm-hmm.
The technology. Yeah, it's a lot more advanced in the UK, but my first impression was that it was going to be run down, a bit
Mm-hmm.
shabby, but it was the complete opposite.
Great. And what kind of experience was provided to you by work living in China? I mean, what kind of training or support, or just when you came, what happened with the company itself? Like, how did you end up in Tianjin teaching English? Like before that?
Well, they asked me where I wanted to be placed, where I wanted to be located,
Mm-hmm.
and I said Beijing, but they put me in Tianjin. So this is where I came. I met Rebecca, who I'm
Mm-hmm.
currently working for,
Mm-hmm.
and she's they've took me in like family.
Mm-hmm.
They're very welcoming and friendly. Yeah, they treat me like family, so it's good.
Okay. Well, can you tell us about your first week in the school and exactly the teaching experience? Do you have any teaching experience
No,
whatsoever?
no, no. This is my first teaching
Mm-hmm.
experience, so it's all new to me. The first week I came here, I was just spectating in the classrooms, seeing how they teach
Mm-hmm.
to get used to the procedure. But yeah, this is my first time teaching. I've never taught before. It's a totally different field of work for me.
Is it hard to teach English in China?
Uh, no, I wouldn't say hard. Being a native speaker, I wouldn't say it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
but it can be challenging sometimes. Speaking to the children in a different language,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make them understand. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with games, with the games, I think they enjoy it, so it becomes a lot easier to teach them.
Mm-hmm. As for the games, what kind of games do you usually play with kids? Like, how old are they, the kids, and what games?
It's from like 3 years old
Mm-hmm.
to like 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So the games we'd play would be, I don't know if you've heard of Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have the flashcards. Say there'll be like 5 or 6 flashcards. Then the last card will be Tiger. So say if we're doing colours, the first colour is blue. So one step for every card. So we say blue, the children will do one step. Say red, the children will do another step.
Mm-hmm.
And until we get to Tiger, and then they run back to the chairs.
Mm-hmm.
The kids really enjoy this game. So yeah.
Great. Well, as for the city you live in, what are your impressions about this specific area, and what do you usually do when you have free time? Like, what's interesting in the city?
When I have free time, I'll normally go to the shopping mall, maybe go-karting
Mm-hmm.
or to the arcade room. But yeah, it's a nice city. Yeah, it's totally different to what I expected it to be.
Is it a traditional city with where you can experience culture, or is it more modern like Beijing?
I would say it was more modern, like Beijing. I wouldn't say it's traditional.
Mm-hmm. As for China in general, like you're a UK citizen, so you came here. What were the main differences in the culture you experienced, and you had maybe a cultural shock, or maybe something awkward or weird happened, like any of these aspects?
Uh, the looks for being a foreigner, you
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of looks and people taking pictures, wanting
Mm-hmm.
to take a picture with you, videoed, getting videoed by the citizens. But yeah, it's interesting.
So, do you experience any inconvenience being a foreigner in China, like in terms of the language barrier or anything in the cultural barrier?
Yeah, the language barrier is very hard because I speak minimum Chinese, so my Chinese is not very good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard to communicate with others. And I feel like Tianjin, the English here is not as good as like Beijing or Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a real difference, and it's sometimes it is hard
Do
to
you,
communicate with them.
do you use any like applications on your phone
The
or
software,
yeah?
yeah. That's normally if you know, that will be my usual way of communicating with
Mm-hmm.
others.
Mm-hmm. Well, before actually, what would be your advice to those who consider teaching English in China and they don't know anything about China? So, what would you recommend to read or watch first before coming there?
I'd recommend to try and learn the language before you come here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I made the mistake of not learning the language. But apart from that, I would say that was all. The
Well, do,
language is
do
probably the
you try to
hardest.
learn right now? Do you try
Yeah,
to?
yeah, I'm trying to learn. It's hard. It's very hard, but I'm trying.
Yeah, that indeed is hard, but basically it's more about how you pronounce, right? So the meaning
Yeah,
changes
yeah,
for different
yeah,
words.
yeah.
Can you tell us more about your apartment that was provided to you in terms of how comfortable that is, and is there anything missing in the apartment or in general?
Okay, well, the first apartment I had, yeah, that wasn't too good. So we had an exchange to a different apartment,
Mm-hmm.
and this apartment that I'm in right now, it's a lot more prestige than the other apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in terms of just like the shower, there's a shower lens where the other one was just an open shower room.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any insects in this apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a real difference.
Well, great. And well, the last question is your advice to those who want to come to China but still hesitate. Would you recommend this experience? Would you recommend
Yeah, I would
coming to
recommend.
China?
Yeah, definitely, I'd recommend it. It's an experience. You only live once, so make the most of it.
How long do you plan to stay in China?
Well, the contract's only for 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
but if the school would like to take me on for longer, then I would stay longer,
Well, there is
for
a
sure.
possibility with work and live in China to sign another contract even in a different city or a different school. So you
Yeah.
can
So,
even choose.
yeah, that would be appropriate for me.
So maybe Beijing this time after the first
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, that would be better because there's more people there that can speak English.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Great. So thank you for your time today. It was my pleasure
you're
to
welcome.
speak to you and nice talking about this experience in China. I was glad to hear that you enjoy your stay.
Yeah.
Let's keep in touch. If you have any questions, just let me know and
Okay.
we'll help you out.